Isra and Mi'raj. Okay.
Aqaba 50 first and second.
Aqaba al-Ula or Aqaba Thaniya. The first Aqaba and the second Aqaba. Okay, what else? Aqaba 1 and Aqaba 2. I'm still asking that question. Where was the first da'wah done secretly? They met somewhere. Arqam. So there was also Arqam, right? Okay. What else? I will ask the sisters this time. What else? Come on. You need me to be stationary in one area? So maybe I'll sit here. Okay. What else? What else did that happened in his life during this time? That you can think of? Where was the first migration to? Habasha. So the migration to Habasha, right? Who said Egypt? Somebody said Egypt, right? No, it's Habasha. Where is Habasha? Okay, who was the king in Habasha? Najashi. And it was a Christian country, right? But before his death, he becomes Muslim. Okay. And then what happened just when the Rasul ﷺ is born? What happened that year? Abraha comes with the elephants, and this results to what surah? Al-Fil. So the elephants and Abraha. Okay. What other events in Mecca that you know that took place? Events in Mecca. Events in Mecca.
Flood.
Flood?
The big flood.
The Hajar Aswad, right? This happens when he was a Muslim already or before? Before. Okay, so there's the Hajar Aswad. So the Aswad stone or rock. What else? There's an important thing that happens to Muslims, and they really suffer out of this experience. What happens to them? Boycott. Who said that? MashaAllah. The boycott. You know what we're talking about? Yes, the boycott of the Quraysh. Yeah, this really put a lot of stress on the Muslims. No trade, no business, no food. You can do anything. You completely boycotted, right? Yes. And during the life of the Rasul ﷺ, what are the most serious events that happened? The death of who?
Of his wife and his uncle.
The death of his wife. Death of wife and death of who else? Uncle. And what's the name of the uncle? Abu Talib. What is this year called? The year of sadness or the year of grief. And we today want to look at this year. Why? Because the Rasul ﷺ said of himself, and he said that the most difficult year was the year of grief or the year of sadness, and was his 10th year. Right? Was his 10th year. So if Makkah is 13 years, this is 10 years into the da'wah already, right? Okay, so the year number 10 is right here. Let's say this is 13. So right here is where things start to happen. This is the same time, not only there is death, but Muslims are boycotted, right? Those who are in Habasha remain in Habasha. They cannot return back because look what is happening. There's a boycott going on, so they're unable to return. And they were told to keep staying there, right? So it is a very difficult year. I want us to look at this year, because when you look at the Sirah of the Rasul ﷺ, really ideally you should study it stage by stage from the beginning. And I would love to teach a course on the Sirah of the Rasul ﷺ. This is a nice, good topic, and there are many, many lessons to be learned from the life of the Rasul ﷺ, from both young men, from women, from adults. There's all sorts of things that happen during his life. And so there's many things we can learn. But because this is a short lecture, just as an introduction, let's say, of the Sirah, let's choose that time period of the death of his wife and the death of his uncle as an example. Because when we get to Medina, that's a whole life. Now, when I was asked to talk about his time in Mecca, you can imagine if I start listing, and then there's the story of Hamza becoming Muslim, of Omar becoming Muslim, right? Of the conquering of Jerusalem that happened by the Sassanids, and things, the story of Heraclius, and all those issues. If we start putting them all together, it's impossible for me to talk about those in half an hour. So what I thought we would do is we will take this incidence of the year of grief, or the year of sadness, or the year of sorrow, right? And look at that particular year and see what do we learn from that. Okay, is it clear how we are approaching this? And inshallah, if you are interested, we can come back and we can say, okay, let's look at the Sirah more carefully, stage by stage. And then we can start from when he was a child, and then we can go from there, inshallah. Does that sound like a good plan? Inshallah. Okay, so now let's look at the life of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam during this time. Khadija radiallahu anha is a woman who was married to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And of course, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam received protection in the house from Khadija, right? I mean, not from Khadija, but given by Khadija. Khadija gives that protection inside the house. She's a comforter to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And she trusts and listens and really comforts the Rasul when everybody else outside, they don't want to hear what he's talking about, and they don't want to listen to the da'wah. So naturally, this is a woman who obviously gives a lot of sense of confidence and comfort to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is an important companion of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the point that when she dies, later on, when he slaughtered a sheep, he would always distribute the meat to the friends of Khadija. This is how much he loved Khadija. And all his children that he gave birth to came only from one woman in the life of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They all came from Khadija. And during the time that he was married to Khadija, he did not marry any other woman. So this is a unique experience that he has with this woman. And the age difference is amazing also, right? We're talking of a 25-year-old marrying a woman who is how old? 40. I mean, in the life of today, nobody wants to do that, right? But this was a special woman. Khadija was sorted for her beauty. She was a very beautiful woman. She was also very skilled in business. She was an entrepreneur. And so she was a very successful businesswoman. And so the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam had worked for her and then was attracted to her. And alhamdulillah, Allah willed that they would be joined in union in marriage. So Khadija radiallahu anha is the sole refuge and really is the safe and comfortable place for him. Because remember, he runs down to Khadija when the wahi comes, and Khadija is the one that wraps him, because he's shaking and shivering and so on. So this woman now dies. You can imagine the kind of grief that went through the life of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But before Khadija, someone else also dies. And this someone is also very important to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is the uncle of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is Abu Talib, right? This is Abu Talib. Abu Talib is uncle to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember that when his father, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the year that he was born, who died among his parents? His father died, right? And shortly afterward, when he was still a child, his mother died. So really he was raised an orphan, if you think about it. So he was taken care by his grandfather, and then after that, his uncle. So his uncle is the one who welcomed him in his house. But his uncle also was a highly respected leader among the Quraysh. Okay, so the Quraysh, they were a tribe that operated on alliances. Meaning that, so for example, meaning that if I was a member of the tribe of Quraysh, and he was a member of another tribe, and he was a member of another tribe, we built alliances. And there were reasons why we built alliances with each other. Because now, whatever happens to me and my family and my tribe, they will stand with me and they will die with me, really. Which means that if there is warfare, and the Arabs fought continuously throughout, you know, they say this of themselves, right? If we had no wars going on, we would fight between family members, as long as we were fighting. So they were a warlike group, right? So that means alliances were very important. And tribes formed alliances in order to protect each other and to protect their holdings and to protect their assets, their investments, and so on and so forth, right? So the Quraysh were very similar in that. So that means there were people who were very powerful among the Quraysh. And one of them was also Abu Talib. Just like Abu Jahl was, just like Abu Sufyan was, these were among the leaders of the Quraysh people, right? So we know in this particular case, his uncle is high-ranking. He's high-ranking among the Quraysh. Which means that although the Quraysh did not like the da'wah of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is almost 10 years into the da'wah, so it is already known that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is preaching Islam during this time. During this time, Umar becomes Muslim, Hamza becomes Muslim, you know, and so things are happening now. Things are changing, right? And so there's this boycott going on, there's a lot of resistance to Islam, and there's a lot of denial of Islam happening during this time. So a sense of protection is necessary for the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so Abu Talib is the one that gives that protection. So you can imagine, this is a very important protection. Because out there, if you're not protected by a leader, by a tribe, by an alliance of some type, oh my God, you're just easy prey. They can do whatever they want with you. Because life was so harsh at that time. And very brutal. Life was also very brutal. Those people that are among the Christians that I talk to, they tell me of the struggles of Isa. I said, Isa is nothing compared to what our Rasul went to. Our Rasul and Musa, these are people who had really tough struggles because there was a lot of rejection by the people. A lot of rejection. Their own people, you know, right? Okay, so this is what happens to Rasul. He welcomed him in his house, Abu Talib. He brought him up, and he brought him up with affection, and he preferred him over all his children. And he used to protect him, more importantly, from the harsh abuses and insults of the Quraysh. And the Quraysh dared not touch Rasul when Abu Talib was alive. So this is an important man. He gave him a lot of protection outside. That he could walk, you know, and not be harassed, right? Not be intimidated, not be bullied by people. Can you imagine your life walking outside and your bullies, you know, and intimidation, and you know, you really don't want to go anywhere, right? And Rasulullah was able to do that, So Abu Talib was an important character in this story, right? And Abu Talib now dies also. And we know the story when Rasulullah wants him to take the Shahada before he dies, and he did not want to change from the religion of his forefathers, okay? So Al-Muhim, he dies. When he dies, this is a lot of loss to the Rasulullah. The man who gives him protection outside now is gone. So now the abuse and the insults begin, all right? At the same time, Khadija, the one who is very dearly attached to the Rasul and a wife of the Rasul, she passes away as well. So there are two losses that happen to the Rasul at the same time.